they stayed faithful. And when you look at the viewing parties that Kamedo did, for instance, the way the fans were rallying and sticking to the project, whatever was happening, and finally they saw the light in summer after the reveals.
Yeah, I mean, look, the faithful have eventually almost been rewarded, right? We're here now for KC. Let's not beat around the bush. The year has sucked, but this is the first time I feel like throughout a lot of this year, the KC fans and the KC players should feel promised that they can walk into this series today against the Mad Lions Koi and walk away, as you can hear in the background, I'm sure, with a series win and continue this potential miracle run.
I mean, it is really important chance that we hear behind us, honestly, and necessary ones, although when you think about how much these players fought to gain the spot that they have today, and they're gonna keep on fighting to actually hoping to make seasons finals, because nothing is guaranteed for KC. Who should be the light of hope for them, would you say?
The light of hope should definitely be in Vladi and Upset. These two have leveled up massively throughout the end of the split, and now leading into playoffs, it feels like they found an identity. They're empowering Vladi, they're empowering Upset. They're both having stellar performances, even though they had the setback against G2. There's a lot of signs of life, and I'm really, really excited to see what they can do here today.
And I'm really excited to see what MDK can do on the other side, as we have Shock standing by with Ibai. Take it away.
I do, spoiler alert, he's right in here, but I am going to go see, because of course he's streaming right here from the Riot Games arena as well. Hola, hello, hello.
Buenas.
Buenas, eso es para ti, eso es para ti.
Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
¿Cómo estás?
¿Todo bien?
¿Todo bien?
Sí, aquí estamos un día más.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, of course, maybe first about the year. ¿Cómo ha sido el año, la entrada en la LEC, el apoyo de los fans y aquí a la casa?
No, tú.
En
español.
En español. Bueno, el apoyo ha sido increíble. La verdad que estamos muy contentos de volver aquí a Berlín. Y nada, agradecer ahí a todo el mundo que está en el chat viéndonos, la gente que está aquí también en el stage, que sé que han venido unos cuantos. Y con ganas de ver un gran partido contra Carmine Corp en playoffs, a ver qué tal lo hacemos.
I think I got it. Really thankful for all the support also in the studio. I didn't get that last part. What did he say about KC?
About KC, it's a hype matchup, right?
Yeah.
So we are actually so happy to play against them in such an important match.
Such an important match, of course. It's a great rival of yours. What will be the key es tu gran rival. ¿Cuál es la clave para vencerlos hoy?
A ver, yo creo que lo tienes que decir tú, ¿no? ¿Cuál es la clave?
¿No vas a responder a ninguna pregunta?
No, respondes
sí,
tú.
Sí, tú también.
Ah, yo también.
Sí,
ok.
No importa.
I think that we have been performing lately really good, except the throws. That's it.
Yeah.
But I'm really confident about our level right now. Without the throws.
Yeah.
So I think that we can make it.
Okay.
For sure.
¿Y tú?
I think same. I think same. I think we are throwing a lot of matches, but we need to fix that in scrims. But Carmine Corp, it's not a top. Carmine Corp, it's not a top team in LEC, so they are medium level. So for me, today is free.
Okay, today is free. I don't even need to translate that. But for MDK, empezaron el año con el final y después fue difícil. ¿Qué esperas que hayan aprendido de las luchas? What do you hope that the team learned from the struggles this year?
I think that we struggled a lot in terms of pressure because we made into finals and the team in spring kind of broke. And I think that mentally we have improved a lot into summer. Like we come back against Rogue, against Vitality. Like this day was so crazy. Lately against BDS, it was actually a good series without the throws. And we have been practicing a lot. Like the team has an insane environment, and I think that we are going to make it for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's it? Okay, final question. Ibai,
Yep.
Skane es mejor traduciendo o boxeando?
I think my friend Skine is not good boxing and is not good in translating. So
thank you so much.
They have a lot of qualities, but boxeando eres flojillo, ¿no?
I'm actually quite good boxing, but I couldn't show it.
Yeah, but we don't have time to talk about that,
thank you so much.
unfortunately, because it's time for MDK versus KC. Let's get into it.
we'll continue the boxing here, not on the caster desk, but in the match behind us. Asterix and Dactor and Aragon. Two things. First of all, Shox, you're insane with your languages. Speaks about 17, 18 languages, probably 19 that we don't know about. Also, as a side note as well, good to hear from Imbai, especially when this seems like a big rivalry that started to brew in the LEC as well. Mad have higher expectations, let's just say, because of their winter run. That didn't go so well in spring, but they're kind of back again where people didn't expect them.
But that's the thing. I think a lot of people are coming into this saying, hey, you know, MDK should be favored, but realistically, when you look at the head-to-head between these two teams, it's 2-1 in favor of Karmine Corp, and they had a massive resurgence of in that summer game between these two teams where it looked very MDK favored, but just at the end, upset and Karmine Corp were able to bring it back.
They talked about it a lot, right? Throws everywhere in every single game, and hopefully they fixed it. I think looking at recent form, you can make arguments for both teams. I think Casey, I believe it was the G2 series, they played very heavily for mid, and they actually looked fairly convincing until a couple of throws. And the same goes to the MDK series. I think could have been a 3-0 is the very common line you say, and the early games have been fantastic. It's just those unfortunate throws.
Yeah, again, it's consistency. Both teams, I mean, again, showing us quite a lot in this last split, and it is nice that Casey, again, breached the barrier. 2-7 started becoming a meme, and then finally in this last split, they were able to get through, push playoffs actually quite early on, and break that curse.
Yeah, but if you look at those metrics, they're twice as good, right? They went from 10th to 5th, and they went from 2 wins to 4 wins, right? So it's definitely been a much stronger year for, or split, I should say, for Karmine Corp. But now is the time to show, for the first time the Europe playoffs, that you deserve to be here. Again, Karmine Corp need to hit top 3 if they want to try and get into our season finals, and it starts with taking down Mad Lions Corp.
Mad already in. Remember, they got the points to be in season finals from the get-go. But there's still more pressure to do more in summer here as we get into pick and ban. Now Talia's already taken off. Brand, we talked about in the last series being OP. Maokai Rumble also sit amongst that.
Karmine Corp already identifying the win condition of Mad Lions, Koi and El Yoya, the leader of this team.
Oh, yeah.
Target banning so many junglers right now. I'm looking at AP junglers that are still up and available, and Karthus is one of them. Sejuani's still open for KC, though, and that is a big champion for them as the B1. Tristana, though, too.
Yeah, and it does feel like El Yoya is back. Like, his performances over the last couple of series have been absolutely insane.
Yep.
This guy ran the early game on the Talia in their last series, picking up 4-0 in the first few minutes, and then wasn't quite able to push it across the finish line, where you did see those fumbles and did see those mistakes start to come through. But I think a large portion of that as well is, like, oftentimes Mad Lions Koi have been opting into these compositions that have very little engage tools and kind of rely on, like, Alvaro and a Braum, or, you know, the Talia wall from Ayoya to try and start fights off. So coming into this, I want to see a bit more of an easy to execute composition for Mad Lions Koi, because their early game looks great. It's just about being able to translate that into the mid game where they struggle.
Now, do you pivot into Zeri plus like Sejuani front to back composition?
You like Ivan with this? Because it feels like that's a good take winner.
The preemptive Ivan can be countered by things like Nidalee, but that's the question as opposed to play them. So you could do it. It's a classic in EU. But I think a Sejuani's a bit of a better option. It's also Closer's pocket pick right now.
I left open though. Closes means you're going to take it. Okay. This has been 2 out of the 4 wins that Karmine Corp picked up have been when Closer's on the bye. And I think he's been insane on it. The fact that you get this great early game aggression, you get that go button and everyone can follow around, works out really well. And Upset back onto the Kai'Sa where he has looked the most comfortable.
Yeah, a couple of question marks coming in for the Karmine Corp composition already. Now you have double AD mid jungle, and that's always a bit of a red flag. Now you need a lot of AP coming in from somewhere. Yes, you have Kai'Sa, but ideally we'll see something like a Gragas, maybe a Kennen coming out from Canna as well. You know preemptively that you're going to want to pair the Sejuani off with some kind of melee champion in the top lane as well. So you could pick something like the Kennen into it preemptively for that dive with the Vi.
Gragas also an option as well. We've seen from Kana too. Let's keep that in the back of our mind as we go through pick ban. Twisted Fate taking off maybe shows that is Kana going to play something safe up top side, as we've often seen with quite a winning matchup. Leona also an engaged tool taken off by Mad Lions Koi.
I think it's also just Mirren has very much tended towards these more carry-oriented picks like the Twisted Fates to try to get that off the board. Could end up in this sort of situation if you do, as Aragon was already saying, see a lot of this AD heavy style. Go for a tank in that top side from Mirren, but there's no pressure on you. Just keep that to that 5th pick and you'll be totally fine.
The Rakan ban coming in, it's a great pairing with Kai'Sa, but I'm thinking how you give counterpick to Mirwin here. I really think he thrives with counterpick here. You could do some kind of blind pick support here. Northless would be alright. Rel as well, very stable. And then you go to counterpick for Mirwin and see what he has into the blind pick of Kana. Now, if it's Gragas, you could do some kind of range champion. Nika was previously banned a lot into Mirren. I don't think it'll come out, but he has a lot of pocket picks.
All I'm saying is I've seen a few of the solo queues where people are practicing on hit Nico.
Yeah.
So just
it's a really good matchup into Renekton as well. But Kennen is also fantastic. It's also a range champion. Mirwin, I think he's the king of range champs in our league. So we'll see as available to us in the R5.
It does mean that you're basically heavily reliant on this, like Guinsoo's Rageblade Kai'Sa to be your main source of AP damage.
Yeah.
And she does do a lot of AP, but maybe not enough if you're going up against Lombard tanks. And there's the Nico.
Wow.
Okay, this is hell. Okay, this is absolutely awful for Kana. You don't win at any single level, and you're very reliant on jungle. Now, you can be collapsed on, but yeah, on-hit Nico is misery. Now, I will say, the AD point, I think we've understated, it is awful. Tabai's rush in for so many of these different champions is going to be really miserable to play against, especially versus the burst that comes out from Karmine.
Because I'm assuming, you know, there's flat AP that comes from the Nico, but the on-hit, I mean, are we suffering from AP on the side of Mad Lions Koi? Like,
no, I think MDK you're fine, I think.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Because still, like, Nico will do some, even in the on-hit. Same when you look towards the likes of the Zeri as well, will have a decent amount there. And it, like, and true damage coming through from Corki means that you've at least got some flexibility. But also, you just don't have a huge amount of the mega tanks on the opposite side. Like, I think Sejuani significantly tankier, Rel going to end up significantly tankier. They're just going to be more difficult to take down.
Yeah, I think camera on top lane and be sad. I think. I wonder if we're going to see, you know, it's so bad that I wonder if we even see some kind of lane swap maybe. I'm thinking of all the options that KC have. If you leave it in isolation, I fully expect a severe CS deficit. It's along the lines of Kennen top lane and Vayne top lane in terms of potency.
Well, as we get on in, at least it's a good way to start our draft in this BO3. So much on the line for KC fans. I told you before that Mad are safe. They're in season finals already, but what would propel them forward? I mean, a chance at summer, getting to playoffs again, doing what they did in winter. Team doesn't want to lose here against KC. Imagine how that would propel you into season finals. Because that, again, is not a guarantee towards Worlds, but Mad versus KC. Allons-y and Vamonos once again as we end out our year. And here in summer, in our double elimination format, it is last chance for both of them, and especially KC. If they lose this series, then as we just saw, Giant X are going to be cheering because they'll guarantee their ticket right into season finals.
Top 3 is the goal. Going to have to win this series and then a couple more after that, I believe, if they want to punch a ticket into season finals. And it's going to be off of the back of this draft that they have right here. Very heavy AD. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to win this game if you are not snowballing. Now, fortunately, you have a bunch of tools to do that. You have a lot of dive, especially come mid-game with all the single target bursts. It's on KC to not falter at the sight of these Tabais, I think, is the name of the game.
Absolutely love it. I've got to say, gents, again, seeing Nico top reminds me, I don't even remember, the last time we saw Nico top consistently was when we got people like IG, like
the
Rift Rivals. Yeah, how'd you know I was going to bring them up? Where we saw a lot of on-hit Nico was the meta for it, especially with their T1, IG versus T1, Rift Rivals, banger series. For such a tournament.
So the reason why this matchup's so good is because you dash forward and your dash has a relatively long cooldown on Renekton. What Nico does is she perma-autos you and then goes invisible and runs away so you can't stun her. It's really horrible to play against. You don't have much counterplay.
Red line in return as well. Targamas and Alvaro just taking big hits. Now there is something I forgot to mention as well. Not only a Giant X locked, I forgot to say SK are also locked. If Mad win this, all the spots for season finals are done and dusted. Then no matter what, we'll have our we'll have our top teams, and KC will be done for the year, as they were before anyway. But SK will be thanking Mad Lions that they make it a little bit easier for them.
Well, Zuba and Alvaro want to try and get aggressive level 2 hitting this bottom side. I'm keeping my eyes on towards Elyoya, because oftentimes when you look at MDK, it's wherever Elyoya is, and oftentimes Alvaro is, that's where a lot of the action is sure to follow. So going through a full topside clear, now starting to move into this bot side, means he will be kind of separated. Potential to try and look for some sort of early play on this bottom side if they got a bit of an aggressive trade on towards upside and Targamas, but don't think they're going to be able to look for a dive on the level 2 or anything at the moment.
Look at these trades coming out. Oh, the PTAW proc is massive. But like you were saying, I completely agree with you, Dagda. The trades down bot side weren't volatile enough to the point where you can find a gank with Elyoya. If anyone's going to do anything, it's probably going to be the Sejuani.
Just classic mid at the moment. Just wait until after the burst trade and then both hit each other to about 100 HP, right? Like,
I've never seen this before.
No, this is a new matchup, isn't it? But only 100 times in the past 3 weeks.
so volatile. You can see the timing of the trader as well, right? The full clears are going to complete for both of these junglers, and now they can potentially look mid onto these volatile trades. The HP bars are knocked down a little bit.
True.
So maybe Elyoya here on this Sejuani could look mid here after the crab.
Let's just wait and see. And if we don't look mid, I'd love to see top again.
Yeah, I would. Look at the health bar in the preview.
It's rough for Kana. Look at that. I mean, again, we knew this was going to happen. It's rough days for Kana.
Yeah, just completely pushing him out. I mean, kind of keep an eye on what the ward situation is, because Vladdy could just see ward of that top side of his lane. So I'm not sure if you've kind of lost track here as KC as to exactly what Elyoya's pathing was, or if he just wants to hug up towards top side where his jungler is. But at least now with Closer getting involved, should have full information that Elyoya is on the bottom side. So going to try and help out Kana as he TPs back into lane.
Gank coming out here. He does have no empowered, no rage, so the stun isn't empowered, and I don't think they want to pull off this gank here. Merwin can always flash away as well. So, yeah, just going to come in to reset deep ward to potentially track the clears.
Also annoying ganking and Nika, right? You got Shape Splitter passive of the clone, plus you also have Tangle Barbs running for you if you're running in a straight line, unless you can flash over the top. And then you get ult time, you get level 6.
That's another reason why the matchup's terrible, is because in Renekton and Dash, you're locked out. You can't avoid the E from Nika, which travels in a straight line as well.
And how does it feel when the jungler shows up and then lets an eco get a freeze? That makes it really, really difficult, eh?
You're already down at TP. You're just going to be autoed to death. And you know there's no bailout. If you get chunked too much, you're just going to have to recall and walk back. That null magic is curious, because you're facing a bunch of auto attacks in the Corki, Zyra, and the Nico once again. But you were rushing Mercs, and
maybe Kana hasn't really played against or realizes exactly what he's going up against, because the magic or the no magic isn't going to help that much. But
Alvaro could top out. That's a little sidestep from Alvaro on the hook there. Targamas could have landed that, and it was a 3v2. So Alvaro avoiding death or maybe a flash pop.
Maybe what Merc treads early is the thought process there that the Tangle Barbs will stop part of the matchup. But again, we know that Tabi, we just talked about it. Like, it's like the conversation we were all having last game, right? Where we're like, hang on, what's the way up? Do we go Merc treads because we're going to be locked down every 2 seconds, or do we go Tabi to stop the majority of this team's damage?
Absolutely, and it's a rough one because of the potency of CC right now without the lack of tenacity. As all side lanes are winning for the side of MDK. Recall's forced down in bot side. Upset's not going to be able to TP back. He's not a top laner. And Recall coming in for top as well. Kana should get his wave shoved in by Mirwin here, and he might miss a minion or two as well. So, early game going slightly in the favor of MDK.
Yeah, the biggest issue that I have for MDK is the success that I might actually have to hold on to this point was.
We'll see for how long.
Dahlia is going to hop out, but the success that MDK have been seeing in recent time has been a shift in identity for them, where it hasn't been so much of, hey, we're going to try and like brute force through boss. Instead, we're going to try and play for Elyoya on these carries. So the fact that now they have to go back towards this style because of the hyper-focus KC put on towards Elyoya in draft means that it is going to be a bit of a different style. At least the moment now, guaranteeing that push in mid with Alvaro and Elyoya means that MDK can contest grubs, and the reset is the Closer didn't even get one of them.
I mean, Closer's going to go over. Yeah, you're right. And it's only singular in the end. Mirwin's coming down as well. This is over egregious. Targamas being here as he flashes over. Almost gets caught out with his life for first blood, but the disengage is there. The grub's reset, and still 2 for the taking there as Elyoya thinks about it, trying to get level 6 ASAP.
MDK not losing down bot side either. It's not like they're overcommitting numbers trying to secure these grubs. They are catching waves for super and no platings for the side of Kana.
And Kana got really lucky, got out of that horrible matchup in top lane to go against Zeri. So it worked out really well.
Well planned, was it? But while we were talking about Elyoya, I did want to bring something to your attention. You know, we were hyping this guy up as like the carry jungle king. I know Jankos had that reserved over multiple years, but it feels like with recent performance and how he has shaped this new path of rookies in MDK, that's why we said we need to see him on carries here. But you know, the stats are going to show a better performance because, again, he was the carry king.
I mean, the stats just showcase perfectly exactly how MDK like to play. They love having Elyoya and Alvaro run around as a duo with good pairings and make plays across the map. They'll gank Mirwin, they'll gank mid, they'll do whatever together. And Super sometimes comes along for the ride, but you can see that 100% KP, that's exactly what they like to do every single time.
That's nuts, actually.
Yeah, it is really crazy.
That's actually, I didn't absorb that until, that's really bonkers as Alvaro comes on in. But closer. Oh my god.
Wait, now he
okay.
has to. Wait, if MDK collapse on him, he doesn't have the Q to get over the wall. He might have to flash out of this, actually. MDK doesn't look like want to collapse. He should get his vault breaker back up. There it is.
Yeah.
And hop over the wall.
So
Dicey.
I will say good news for Casey is that something you want to do versus Vi very often is attack her because she's quite weak pre-6, and you had Prios in the Nico as well as the Zhuani who can attack junglers early game. She has been able to, the Vi has been able to clear and get secure level 6. So now the level 6 win condition is online. Maybe they make some plays mid or onto the Nico.
This is a horror lane state, no? What do you think?
I think it's absolutely
matter
miserable,
even.
yeah. I mean, there's not much to analyze. You can see it on your screen.
It's a slow push in to maybe Carter's death. I don't know. There's a 30 CS lead right now. Obviously, it's a growing wave for Mir when he's slowly pushing it in, but...
Yeah. Very often what you'll see is these chunks from range champions onto melees and pivoting that into a dive. No one's going to go head up topside though, so I think Kana should be okay farming under tower.
Do you ever feel like you change up your build then as a Renekton, to like go
Stride?
Lifesteal or go Stride Breaker or something that's a little bit
Stride
cheaper
against
and try and
Cannon is
survive?
quite common,
I
so
think-
does it reflect that?
I think absolutely you can change your build to go towards something like Stride Breaker, and that way when you play against 380 carries, you can maybe stick to them. It's a band-aid, it's not really perfect. And yeah, more auto attacks. I think this is why I'm kind of against blind pick Renekton a little bit, but I get the idea with the single target burst.
Okay, it's obviously going to be our talking point for quite a bit, as we've got one absolute top lane.
I'm such a nerd, sorry. I waffle about it.
I do call you a nerd at time to time, that's fair. We're all nerds here in some way. It just depends on what kind of level, you know. As we see top lane play out, you know, we've got to look out to see what happens towards Grubs next. 1 minute 30 until that spawns. And remember that MDK forced off KC and almost found first blood up on those Grubs. And again, when we have Nico, that's the other thing as well. People forget, Shape Splitter works on turrets. And Nico's actually a really fast split pusher as well.
Yep.
Last time we saw her, so Grubs do have, again, a lot of value here for MDK if they can secure.
Yeah, and the fact that you managed to steal one away for KC is pretty nice, because again, if you can try and get two, then you end up in a split, and it's not as bad, but MDK, trying to find the pick. Fresco is the only real damage dealer, though, so I have to be very careful, because you can always turn on towards Frescowi with Closer's ultimate and having the point and click from Targamas, which is just half a level away, and then make it very difficult for the rest of MDK to try and follow up on that. So this is where we're talking about is like the way that MDK have thrived is having the double damage dealer, but Alvaro providing the engage. But now with Oyoya not having that damage, you do have to be a little careful about how you enter into these 3v3s.
Yeah, it looks like the control is going to go over to the side of MDK. Those tab eyes in Corky's inventory, you have to pull the trigger with the Vi and the Tristana and one-shot a target, but that's the reason why you don't often draft same damage type. And
how did that hit?
Lots of control. In 2 minutes time, I imagine.
Oh
yeah,
my
I mean,
God.
I'm broken record at this point. I think.
It's all right, I like it. I mean, again, today we've seen nice top matchups that we can yap about.
Oh no, look at them. They might be heading topside. I think I smell a dive. Although,
what happened, bot?
I think they just go for Void. Like, the thing is, Supa's been doing a great job of just getting that push in bot side and kind of zoning off Upset for being access that jungle as you set up the vision for MDK. Supa, though, now, he should hop over. He can just hop over the wall. But
you're right.
Yeah, I think this is where. So you now draw Targamas down to guarantee Upset being able to enter into anything, which then means that MDK see Targamas and boss know they've got the advantage for numbers in topside, so they get the Void Grubs, which are now pushed into 4, which just helps out perfectly for Mirman on the split push.
Yeah, absolutely. With that prior, I completely agree with you. Top and mid, you secure Grubs, and now 6 Grubs to the side of MDK. That Nico is going to have a field day hitting these towers.
Close enough to
5,
6, right? Yeah. But the point stands, doesn't it? The Grubs are still out. The mites, I should say. This Nico.
No mites, they definitely have it.
No mites. Okay. That's great. Good joke. Good humor. You'd be a good dad someday, Dagger. Dadga.
Sorry, and you gave me crap.
It just came to mind. You know, Dracos, was it Dracos who called you Daddy Dagger in other broadcasts, or was that me? It sounds like a me thing to do.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, look, either way, Dracos was probably right. Anyway, as you approach that position, we're going to walk away from that because I'm not sure where to go from there. I will say at least one grub there for Vladdy while Rocket Bomb just drops down 125 gold. While meanwhile on the top side, Elyoy is here. No vision in the meantime, and Mirman's just going to walk on up, so he gets free plating as well.
Yep, damage, wave clear at the very least under tower. At this point in the game, you're kind of happy, right? You're kind of happy you mitigated most of the lead. And I will say this is a significantly less a big deficit than I thought there would be. I thought he'd be down so much more CS.
Oh, really?
Maybe in recent patch notes, Nico on here has been a bit less potent, but Still, good mitigation from Kana. We have talked about how hard of a challenge he has had in this lane, and he's come out only minus 30 CS.
I mean, look, Blade of the Ruin King is coming soon, though. 1.1k lead, so while, you thought it was going to be more, I'll still add in that with this double plate about to come through as Kana gets a good trade there, getting the excess Rain of Anger to get the trade. Casey will start the Dragon looking for their second, and I mean, they are starting to stack these up.
The thing is, though, the reset timers on MDK have been a bit funky. So super reset is fine because he doesn't want to be on bot side in case they try and look for a dive off of the next play. But with Elyoya resetting as well, you're not really in a position to try and look for a cross map. Like, you could try and zone kind of off of top turret and find an answer for the dragon play, but it feels like KC now starting to stack dragons and there isn't really a huge answer. But Targamas needs to be careful here.
He is. He's waiting in brush, pixel brush, but Elyoya is there. Flash away. There's the ulti to follow up, but a double knock-up is bid with a depth charge. KC can turn this. The flashing from close is great as well. And Alvaro gets a trade here with a great engage himself, but no one there to support. 2 members down, a double over to upset, and Targa was just the bait.
They commit so many numbers down to this bot side play. You secure 2 kills, but at what cost? You have 5 grubs on the other side, hitting top and mid tower. It's at least going to be equal, if not more.
Is it worth?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, sure, you get some kills, right? But again, like, top turret going to be down. Well, Mirwin now gets the reset. He can move down to that bottom side, especially as the Rift Herald's back up. I would like to see Supa actually moving in towards this top side. I think it's a bit of a mistake that he hasn't, but Mirwin, yeah, he should be fine. But I think you could have contested then to basically do the same play where you force KC to overcommit onto this bottom side because they're trying desperately to turn this play around.
I mean, this play screams of I'm bored or desperation from the Renekton because he's doing nothing on top side. He doesn't need to be here. He TP's in and the fight's already over. He managed to secure an assist, sure.
Sorry, it screams I'm bored.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a real thing, right? I want to participate in the game.
I'm getting flashbacks. Do you remember Luma?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm bored, I want to engage
True.
in the middle of like a playoff series. So maybe a very similar thing.
my
but
God.
The thing is, the TP wasn't even on a good wave stack. Like, he didn't have a wave pushed out, so he didn't have much time. He knew he was going into that losing plates, and now, down bot side as well, first blood turret is just another win for MDK.
I mean, MDK, yeah, maybe in the long run, it's just so much better. I mean, we talked about it like, yeah, KC get the 2 kills, but 3k gold lead just about now. Top is a hair's breadth away. KC are going to be getting the Herald, so that's a plus, but like, again, MDK, these side lanes plus Super, there are big gold leads and big carries that already have their first item.
And oftentimes people are like, cool, Rift Herald's this like great objective that I can use to crack down a tower, but actually, hang on, hold on.
Oh, tries to predict it. Nice.
Nice.
Vladdy, mid-air, got that ulti off, otherwise maybe that crush down connects.
But the point I was trying to make was Rift Herald needs priority to be able to play around us. If you just plonk it down, you're not going to get a tower off it anymore, especially since the nerfs to it. So you kind of need your team to be able to rally around it. But if you've now lost both side lanes and you're losing on those pushes...
Might be caught out. Tangle Barbs does connect. He clones out and Kana can't close the gap. Remember, he can E on that, but chooses not to.
Can't stun an invisible target. That's why the matchup's so annoying. There's no follow-up. They don't want to commit because Nico still has that ultimate, and it's going to be bot side control again because they expend numbers up top side.
What I'm going to play when I get home is Casey trying to defend mid turret, and Super just hovers around with his engage. Alvaro Elyoya right now syncing up nicely. Trying to move across this dragon, 2 minutes away, and maybe it is
an invisible target. That's why the matchup's so annoying. There's no follow-up, they don't want to commit because Nico still has that ultimate.
So trying to move onto the map as KC is actually pretty tough right now. So I think what we're really going to see is this Rift Herald used to try and get mid tower in response to a dragon. You already have 2 dragons yourself as KC, and while it would be great to try and look for a fight, I think the fact that Khan is so far behind makes it a bit tough. So opening up a tower somewhere with this Rift Herald is probably going to be a little bit more value to try and inject that gold into you.
Heading into mid-game, what KC like to do and what they should probably do, especially with this Tristana on the team, is you strong side, bot side, play for this tier 1 turret. You can give up this Rift Herald if you want to, or play for top and give up the next dragon. But you need to get gold onto this Tristana and play for those towers on the opposite side of the map. Closer loves to play side lane with Vladdy. He did this all the time with the Sejuani and the Yone duo. But they really aren't activating it. They're getting pushed in every single front.
The gold lead's red across the board. Look at the bottom. This is what I was talking about. It's a 3k gold lead. It's a good early game for Mad. And while it hasn't been as explosive as we expect, we're just going to watch this part 2. Blade of the Ruin King damage. Yummy, yummy. Tangle Barbs, if that connected, maybe. Kana would have had to burn a flash or an ulti as he gets tagged out on the way back. But side lanes just, I mean, that Nico needs so much attention.
Yeah, he has to play on the edge, because if there is a stun, they could follow up with the Kai'Sa. You know, they do have that global collapse, and he's a squishy Nico, right? So this ranged champion in the side lane, it does need some vision backing it up and maybe some shadowing.
Got Stridebreaker just now as well, so maybe that changes things.
I think it just basically means that KC are going to try and force the fight here. You still have Flash on Kana, but you have to make it happen quick because Mirren is already pushing that top wave. As soon as they realize the Renekton isn't on top.
Alvaro engaged, the crash down is there. The ulti flies a little bit short from Elyoya, so Targamas is fine. TP comes in and 10 seconds till Dragon. That is an ulti down for Elyoya, and KC trying to use tempo to get mid.
And this is what we're talking about. Use the Rift Tower to try and get that mid tower. You don't have Mirren in the play, and he's not going to be as strong unless he can get that engage coming through from Alvaro and Elyoya. So mid tower barely left standing as KC now try and take River, but MDK, they're in a good spot to contest this.
Items completed across the board. Everyone has summoners. It's down to execution. Can Closer find a single target and burst with Kana's flash? Or will the free hitting of MDK's AD carries come out on top?
Let's see if Mirwin can enact that right. He's also here. Kana off on the side as well.
Alvaro holding this bush makes it really difficult for KC to try and push forward because the setup from MDK could be huge. Kana trying to take space, upset, had already pushed in the wave of mid so they get the tower. And now the steal from Closer.
Trying. Oh my god, the smite a little bit early. Closer, excuse me, at half HP at the back of the pit. Now caught out. He has to get out with a Vault Breaker, and Dragons denied. The stacking at the very least denied by MDK.
At least you get some gold back in your favor. You can see what had been a line of red in the middle of the bottom of your screen is now at least shifted with Upset being able to get some of that. But it's kind of like a small window. I think you still need Targamas, Upset, and Closer to play heavily off of this mid wave, try and find ways to push back Supa, and then open up to try and get control over side lanes. Because if you don't, you're just going to have MDK go, cool, we lost mid, but we're still going to just push you in everywhere else.
And I think as well, if we're looking at Upset having the gold, I mean, he can be the reliable carry. He can be the reliable team fighter as well. He has been criticized throughout the year as, you know, sometimes being a KDA player, sometimes sitting back and not playing the risk. But again, there is some reliability with him and maybe Vladdy on the side as he's joined in and how they play team fights.
Oh, actually, hang on, Alvaro.
Bit of pause, yeah, again, I'm talking about him before. Good damage that comes through. Alvaro gets exploded to half HP. Vladdy as well, another compliment gets thrown through because this mid laner is also a great source of DPS for the team, but they can't find a kill.
The only thing I'm not a fan of here for Upset is his build. I really think going in towards like the Static Shiv build and Gwynsu's Rage Blade, opting more in towards the AP heavy build was kind of needed with a lot of the AD, but also just being able to contest waves. But now KC on the back foot.
I mean, Targamas, he's a target here now, but Alvaro changes onto Vladdy. The Zerial comes through, but Vladdy's fine. Ooh. They re-engage. The Pop Blossom will find the mark, though. Mirwin's done a lot. He tries to auto-attack on the back end, but KC have the comeuppance. A double kill already there. And just as we're saying it, the team fighting 80 carries are popping off. Closer's looking for the chase. Vladdy gets the reset. Elyoya's up next, and KC's reliability is soaring with their stonks.
Yeah, a teamfight win in the mid lane. A bit of an overextension from MDK. It's going to convert into a Nash start as well. They do so much damage to the Nash, and this is exactly what they needed because they were on a timer. They had Hextech Soul denied, their full AD essentially, and those armor items are coming through, but now they managed to kill Nash, and this is how they accelerate.
And the fact that you're going to be able to rinse this with double AD carry, double Kraken, it does not survive very long. Perfect timing for KC. And MDK, we talk about those little missteps. Well, this is one of them, right? You end up with MDK trying to push forward because they think they've got the reset, but the Hex Gates bringing Upset back out. Immediately, the flash forward from Closer on towards Supa. Mirren tries to buy space, but the follow-up between the double AD carry onto a squishy member is so good. And from that position, KC are just able to chase them down.
Yeah, the engage into mid. I think Alvaro thought maybe because the tower was so low, they could play for killing the tower at the same time, or maybe he just thought he needed to get away. Regardless, it's a massive lead and a throw over to KC.
It's gold even now as well. That 3k gold lead through lane changes face, and you know, when we were seeing green, or again, I'm not sure if I'm colorblind, let's just call it green in the bottom of your screen. That now starts occurring. It's grown a little bit. Upset as well, 1.3k gold lead, and I'm looking through Vladdy as well, who's starting to rear his head. Now with Baron, KC don't even care about the grubs because they're starting to do damage to these outers. They're starting to do damage with the push.
Yeah, you could see the cross map coming down from down in bot from Mirwin. They tried to make a punish onto him. You see Targamas as well as Kaiser Upset there, also trying to make a play onto Mirwin. He gets out though. He's been playing the side lane extremely well, and that's maybe an avenue they can take to come back.
Closer coming back out. They really want to get Mirren, but I think the fact that Upset has now gotten to 4-0 is changing the dynamic of this game quite a bit. Upset now can get push on mid and open up Targamas, as you saw there, to lean into the bottom side to help out, but get the hook.
Targa, he hooks in the clone. Remember, that's easy for me when he autos off the back end and he stacked up the Gwynsu's Rage Blade, gets the Bork activation, but walks out. Targa's fine with that because they get bot side turret, and KC still end up ahead. 2.5k gold with a minute left on this Baron power play. You'd be cheering for Red Bull right now if you're KC.
Yeah, a minute left on this Dragon. I'm looking at potential completed items eventually in the Randuins and the Frozen Heart, maybe coming out into the quadruple auto-attackers. Regardless though, control initially over to MDK as they have control using the Scuttlecrab Vision as well. Minute left. And item components across the board, relative parity. The frontline difference is there with the Vi being significantly tankier, but MDK not completely out of it yet.
KC trying to step up to compete on the wave, but MDK, there's a lot of members there. Targamas gets a word, does realize he needs to back away as the rest of KC come for reinforcements, but this is where it becomes so crucial. This mid-wave gives you so much control over the map and trying to help Merwin get push on this bottom side. So the fight begins, Targamas with the hook.
And again, his stretch lines haven't been bad. The depth charge as well. Super gets over the wall, so at least he's away from that engage. Pop Blossom is there, it's a one-man, but onto Kana, they're trying to play front to back. The Zeriol's there as well, but finding the back line, that's Kana, or rather Closer, who gets the ulti to lock on down. The upset ulti as well flies on in. Their aggression impact today, and KC cleaning up. Mad are dumbfounded, they've just been wiped again.
They're overextending into these positions where they're not getting the front to back. Targamas is getting hooks onto key carries, Kana on a flank. I mean, the fact that Targamas managed to hook Super in the midst of all that was incredible for KC.
Yeah, Kana playing extremely well there, weaving in and out of the fight, well, not dying. I think he must have lived on 200 HP or something like this. If you take a look at this, the initial hook comes out onto Alvar and he buffers it with a Q, so it's a stun for a stun. Mirwin gets the free hit onto Targamas, but he has Aftershock, so he doesn't take that much damage, and then the engage comes in. The self-peel from the Nico is there, and Kana lives on very little HP as he gets out, and then the fight is just won.
But that's the thing, the fight kind of run away from MDK. Alyoya was up in the top part of mid, trying to wrap around to provide that front line that is squishy 80 carries needed, and he doesn't get it now.
Happening
Vladdy
again.
Jumps on towards Frescowi, just trying to push him back as you can see that wave in the bot side being escorted by Upset. They want to look for the tier 2 and boss.
I mean, this game has suddenly become so hard. We're talking about MDK success through lanes, but KC with a couple of these picks catching Mad by surprise, but also some Mad slip-ups. It's costing them the map now with bot in a turret getting taken down as well. We were concerned about the damage spread, right? But because Upset's so far ahead, he's got a very early Nash's 25 minutes.
Yep.
3 expensive items, ain't bad.
KC super ahead, circumventing the armor on the enemy team with this amount of damage. Just the raw damage that you have, the AP in general as well from the Nashers. Super nice from KC. And just superior team fighting in the mid-game. I think they showed a lot versus G2. Mid-game as well is where I thought they threw games, but this game, very different. Showing us a different strength of this team.
KC, imagine to just at least get their blue up for the moment. Like, again, you're seeing MDK constantly trying to group up to find picks and find moments where KC are overextended, but they're not really giving them those chances. And now Vladdy, I believe, has IE on this reset as well. He's been farming up an absolute storm in those side lanes. Yeah, do this? Yeah, there it is. So at this stage, 3 items across the board for your carries. There is little you can do as Baron is up. And KC, they want to try and get vision, but great snipe from Upset, reading that MDK are going to try and find these picks. That's what they did against BDS, trying to find these little moments in these bushes where they could find the picks.
Sideline Wincon's kind of dead now, so you're playing for these bushes, playing these vision, but they can face check consistently with Upset here. 602 on this Kai'Sa, just pressing W, and they never need to check the Nash.
Keeps hitting as well, means you get a 2-3 second cooldown, right? It's nothing. Upset can keep throwing this out. They get mid-priority as well. They'll run this down, and MDK moving in. They'll have to defend, but there goes KC, channeling their energy now to the left side of this map and looking for Baron vision to clear, while MDK continue playing on the back foot here with more and more control being given over. Remember as well, Dagger talked about that IE. We've got a 3-item Tristana. Targamas knows it. He dredge lines in. Good ulti though. Closer steps on up. He's getting burst down, but Upset into the backline, flashes away from the Magnet Storm. Great spacing here as KC now look for the right side of the fight, and onto Frescowi. He gets destroyed. Even the hook from Targamas hitting through the wall is big as Kana gets revenge. He's Pop Blossom though and kited back, but still KC are on the up and up. The up and out. The up and done for game number 1 as Upset has become godlike and KC have become done with Mad Lions.
Upset's aggressiveness in that fight made it impossible for MDK to get their footing. He dives onto Mirwin, but No way. Are they just going to look for
They're
the
going
end?
to try. They're going to try at the very least. Look at the death timers on 3 members of Mad Lions Koi. He has been called Koi, in fact, upset. He's been called a KDA player, but in this game, he's proving us wrong. Casey might think otherwise, though. The death time is not long enough at this point in the game, but man, this is a showing, a good return from the earlier game state, and a good return for KC to the stage.
So much on the line. They take the safe route, they take the portals out, and are going to play for Soul because they're already on 3. They have such a gold lead. They don't need to try and end here. And Inhib is already going to convert into that Nash, into that Dragon rather. But Nash is up, and they have double AD carry. I wonder if MDK are going to start it if we get out of this replay. But this team fight, though, it didn't start off all that great.
No, but watch Upset. It's moving on towards Mirwin, flashing away from Alvaro. Super gets drawn up to try and deal with him. Ana Yoya, which then opens up closer to dive onto Frescowi. Upset, playing the hyper-aggressive, won the fight. Now can he do it again?
Is this the Hail Mary? It feels like it is, right? I mean, onto the Baron, drawing in KC. Closer, though, finds an old target on the Frescowi, but no one's nearby until Upset flies on in. Frescowi is outnumbered, outmatched, and outdone. MDK now with 4 members in front of the Baron. The debuff is there, and KC getting hit hard, though, by Super is the try, but even Death can't find a kill there. In the end, Upset flies through, and Bloody starts hopping on like it's Mario Brothers again. And it looks like Mad are just out of gas in this first game.
I love watching this version of KC.
Agreed.
The fact that they have grown over the course of playoffs, over the course, he's gone. This has been such a joy to watch. KC, strong early games, commanding into the mid game, and their team fighting has been extraordinary playing around Upset.
Yeah, absolutely. The team fighting is exactly what I'm looking at as well for this roster of the KC. The early game was a little bit quiet, but the second that MDK misplay in that mid lane dive, they capitalize and they just keep running away with the game.
I mean, it's a journey to this point, right? We talked a lot about, you know, their start in winter when they debuted in the league, in spring as well. There are a lot of throws, there are a lot of inconsistent games, but this has been the split of rejuvenation, the split of growth for KC. They've tried a new roster as well with Closer and Kana. I mean, this was a big gamble when Kana had rough times over on T1, and we remember, you know, Closer in the LCS as well on 100 Thieves. It's a mishmash of a roster, but I'm glad. It's like mashed potatoes. It all tastes nice and comes together.
But it didn't look great from the get-go. Like, they didn't have the cream, right? They hadn't added in that little bit of extra that really was going to solidify this as a strong team from the start. But as they started to go on, it feels like this has been so well coordinated. Closer sets up, Upset dives in the backline. They eliminate Frescowi immediately.
Closer's ability to find the targets in the backline this game has been really understated. I think he has found the targets, especially for Frescowi, flashless, followed up by Upset on this. Kai said they're just playing the comp to perfection. Kana, despite the really rough early game, managed to find these fights where he's ducking in and out and finding the slows with the Stride Breaker.
And now it's going to be the push in mid, the push in bot, keeping the pressure up consistent in MDK. See Mirwin desperately trying to get something back on this top side. But the damage from Upset, this AP build is going to start doing wonders now that it's got to the 3rd and early 4th item.
And with Baron as well, they're just shredding these turrets. There's nothing that split pushing Nico top can do, right? Mirwin has tried. He's tried to put pressure on the other side of the map, and there's a wave coming in, but KC have now broken the base in 2 different places. The gold leader's now moved to 8K. There's a soul there, there's a re-engage here. Targamas with some great hooks this game, and Closer just dives in so that Upset's delight can continue. He rolls, he flies, and Upset will continue to glide. These 80 carries thrive, and KC will not accept their time to die.
Upset says stop and watch as he outplays MDK beautifully in the base. The Nexus turrets are falling. Super Mako with them. But KC, a glorious game 1 to start this series.
I think Glorious is absolutely right. 11:05 on Upset. The second that the game fell into the lap, they took it and they ran with it. They didn't stop. They secured every single dragon, every single team fight win. And it didn't just end there. Now they're on to game 2.
I mean, top looked like a disaster. Mid was good for Mad Lions. Bot was Super's hunting ground. But it didn't matter in the end. Once KC caught Mad Lions alive, those Lions were tamed. Game 1 over to KC. Match point again to keep themselves alive and make that miracle run right after this.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Lore!
Hey, shouldn't you be on stage right now?
Hey, you got a pick. Tom Kent? What? I was not expecting this.
And a crazy off-meta pick that secured you the win. How did you come up with it?
I just listened to my gut.
KC is actually cracked. I did not think I would live to see it. That sounded really depressing for no reason. It's just that I wasn't here last week, right? So I kind of looked at the games, and I heard by talking to everyone who looked at them more intently the fact that it was a hard match to win versus G2, but there were so many positive signs. And I always think that's so hard because it's like transitive properties don't always work, right, Odo? So what did you see today that made you think about those hopeful signs of last week?
We saw a lot more the K-Corp we wanted to see, where they're a little bit more patient, taking L's, because this early game was really, really rough, because they walked up to third Drake or even fourth Drake later on. Man, their comp, they were getting smashed by this MDK Nico top, the shenanigan that we saw earlier that worked even better for them. But it all led up to this, because if we would have seen the K-Corp that we saw in the weeks before, I don't think they could have pulled the win because they were so patient, and it looked like this cohesive unit that we always wanted to see from them, that we've been building them up for the whole split, and it was a joy to watch. Upset was great, Kana was great, operating with 0 resources this game because she was getting punished by the Nico top, and everyone, it really felt like for the first time we saw from K-Corp this split that they are all together and they're all as a unit.
Yeah, it was great to see. I was a bit skeptical given the early game and given that they were like full AD, basically had like 0 AP damage until Kai'Sa gets his 3rd item completed. And then they had like tab eyes and like health items ready on the tanks, and Nico was really smashing top. So yeah, great turnaround. I think they capitalized on every mistake Mad Lions actually made, and that made them come back to the game.
So again, though, we do see a little bit from Mad Lions, a thing that we've unfortunately seen a few times. I don't think maybe this was as egregious because it wasn't as late into the game, but they do have a habit of having a good game plan, building up a certain advantage, and then not being able to push it through.
Exactly, we saw that, but I don't really think it was more so from MDK side where they fumbled an engage or something. I think it was Vladi having a really great play, because in the mid fight where that led up to the Nasher, they pulled the trigger and they engaged on a fight where Vladi does the typical thing that we see from Tristana, well, mainly from Caps, where he just buffers the engage and everything looks great. And it starts here with this initial engage, because right now K-Corp are really struggling to get some sort of control. And right now they're punishing Alvaro very well by chunking him, which is going to lead later on into the dive, because as we speed up now, MDK is going to push it up for this mid tower to get another aggressive play on Vladi, because I think they might have seen upset base, and right now they're like, this tower is very low. Let's look for a fight. Alvaro and Eluia are gaining a lot of space and using their tankiness, but right now this engage fails, and now all of a sudden everyone is overcommitted. Upset is jumping in very well. Closer finds a very good engage on the Zeri, and this is the fight that K-Corp needed, because up until this point the game was out of their hands. It was out of their reach. They didn't have a single good play that they could forge just because MDK was so far ahead. And right now, after this Nasher, after this sequence, the game is just lost for MDK.
Yeah, they got the items on the AD carries now after that, and then the fight started becoming suddenly very free because the front lane is just not tanky enough to handle the damage.
And the Nico is falling off because she's useless. Yeah. She's just a lane dominant pick that with time, when everyone gets equal items, she just falls off.
Against AD carries especially. She, can't carry.
So then think about the other game state than the one where you are winning with that pick specifically. The fact that KC turns it around in that mid-fight perks, did you identify that as, of course, there was a little bit of an overstep from MDK as well, or I want to say a misread of the situation, but was it even more KC and Vladi saying, this is the fight we're going to need if we want to come back in this game?
I think it's more of like maybe MDK like being sloppy in the mid game. Maybe since they've thrown so many mid game advantages, you can get like over hasty and like try to go for these plays, or you see someone is out of position, oh he's inting, you know, or like kill him, I'm engaging, you know, and then it turns out bad, and then your comp is just getting outscaled, and then you just actually collapse, and that's maybe what happens with them, and that happens with them a lot. So it could be a mental block at this point already. It could be already like, oh, if we don't get this now, if we don't get this mid turret right now, we're not gonna progress the game, and that's how they feel, right? Even though I don't know why, they have pretty decent scaling as well.
Right now,
like, but yeah, I mean, for sure KC outscales, yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about Upset a little bit as well, guys.
Upset has played phenomenal game. I think from an AD carry perspective, he's done everything right in this game. Like he was playing very graceful from behind when his team was losing. He was up in CSM lane anyways, and then him and Targamas got the bait on the bot lane, which made him get ahead in the game. And after that, I think he just played every team fight really well. He took the most aggressive path possible in team fight and created a lot of space for his team and didn't overcommit. I think he just played really well, and of course his stats are wonderful here. He loves the stats, so I'm sure he'll be happy to see such nice stats.
Weren't you saying when they could finish but they didn't, you're like, yeah, if I was him I would go back, I would try to get another pentakill.
I mean, at that point you can't lose. You have like the Cloud Soul, and you have Baron, and you're like, this is your time to get penta. You have Flash and Cleanse.
Yeah,
I'm like,
this is it.
Guys, don't end, please. Get the objectives. We can't end. Get the objectives. But he didn't get the penta, unfortunately. But he had like 2 or 3 kills more. It was nice. Was nice for the stats. Yeah.
And I will be the typical Upset hater because I know that everyone loves to hate on Upset for saying that he's a KDA player. I mean, he was a KDA player. His KDA was 11-0-5.
Was a very good one this time around.
He was insane. He just jumped in with a champ like Kai'Sa and a comp like MDK's. He found perfect timings to kind of keep them on the leash where he's just a little bit out of harm's reach and also dishing out as much damage. And for me, he was a superstar this game.
Yeah.
And both things can be true at the same time. You can be really insane in game and also care about your KDA, right, Bert?
It's possible, very possible. Yeah. It's very possible. I'm not the person to know about that. I've never really cared about my KDA. As maybe a lot of times it can backfire, right? But yeah, you can definitely care about the KDA and play really well.
Okay, I wanted to keep you for the draft, but it's been taken away. I heard you need to work on your casting. It's not true. There has been a miscommunication, and the casters are gonna do the pick and ban, so we'll head over to them.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Yo, don't worry, bring a mic. Yo, Shocks, Perks, Odo, just come into the... We got
just one room.
We got heaps of room.
Yeah.
We'll do a 6-man pick and ban. Okay, well, while we wait for them to rush over and maybe sort out some communication, we can welcome you in.
And we need to get more headsets as well.
That's okay. That's all right. If they have standing
We
mics,
can just share, yeah, just one each.
Oh my God, just hold the mic like that. That's fine. We don't need to hear each other. We'll be fine. The big thing is, though, KC are on match point, and remember, this is a double elimination bracket. We are in the lower part of the bracket if you are just joining us for the first time. KC, of course, performing out of their mind. We said coming into this, it feels like Mad are kind of favorites, but we also have to indicate that, like, Mad also, not with growing pains, I think over the year, growing pains is a bit a weird thing to say, but Mad, again, falling into the trouble of, like, well, they might find something early, but they kind of throw it away. They're not clean. Even Airby said that, right?
Yeah, I mean, up until that mid-game play, right? I keep going back to that. Mad Lions, they had a decent early game. KC seemed like they were actually struggling down, I think, 2.5 to 3K. But then that mid-game play happens and they overreach into mid-tower. It's just rough.
The thing is, though, lads, like, we said KC have to hit top 3. That was a top 3 team performance.
It was, actually.
How clean that was. mage pick into that mid lane, which just nullifies a lot of the value you would get from the Brand, because Merc Threads then become super high value.
Yeah, I'm looking at the AD mids that are upper left and available. It's like Varus, which I think is terrible, and then Lucian, which is probably the best option here, but Frescowi's never played it. So it could be a mage, like you're saying, but then the Merc Tread value's a bit too high. But they're going to have to find a pick on this 4-5. I think I've listed the best ones in my opinion. Yone, Varus, Lucian.
And you'd never consider an AP mid alongside nothing like a LeBlanc, right? Like,
yeah, the value you get from the magic resist and also just the tenacity that's in Merc Threads is super high, and it's too easy to itemize.
I mean, if you do go AP, it would be something like Talia, then you'd have like a Talia Rel combo at the very least, which is super nice.
Yeah.
They facilitate each other well, but no, I think they understand very well that they need mixed damage here to facilitate Elyoya.
And then I'm curious about what we get Mew in top right. Renekton's already been banned away. Maybe it's like a Sante angle for this team. Like, do we need more front line? It's for Mad Lions, we're pulling at some interesting. Game, gents, I think needs to be highlighted. But this time with Vladdy on something consistent as well. Can they get it over the line? Can the run start here for KC when they need top 3 to get into season finals? This is 1 out of 3 best ofs that can make it work. They win here. They go up against SK. If they can do the unthinkable there, they've got 1 more after that. And then top 3 is theirs. It seems impossible, but as Dagda said before, that was a performance of a top 3 team, if I've seen one, and that was clean. And that was KC's cleanest game, I think, of the entire year.
But it was with a very distinct style, which was closer engage, upset follow, set up for team fights with these dives. This comp does have a similar amount of dive, like you do have some setup there, but definitely much more of a, hey, we need Kana to get the ball rolling, try and play around top side, less around upset and getting him fed in that bottom lane. So I'm looking to see if KC can have a similar style with a bit of a different look coming into this.
Definitely is. Usually what we see is play towards mid lane from KC. But with this top side, with this jungle top duo of Sejuani Camille, you can make so many plays onto the Twisted Fate here, as well as the brand. So what we could see as well is potential invades from Sejuani.
But I do want to quickly highlight again, we're talking about it coming into this game. Upset had a banger. One of his best games as well, I have to say. There was a lot of criticism going around. There's a lot of reality checks, I think, and it was really nice to see Upset step up to the plate and challenge that first game.
I think it's hard to say he's a KDA player after that last game. Like, that was absolutely insane. He played on the edge, like, shotgun himself in to try and finish off Mirwin in the fight.
True.
Now shotgunning down Alvaro as he goes to step up, but also, like, sending himself into the base, trusting the stopwatch timing right as they finish out the game, thanks to Upset's play.
Oh, yeah.
The man was on a mission in the last game to tear MDK apart, and he succeeded tenfold.
It's nice again. Now we take a quick look at the top lane. I know, Aragon, you're talking a lot about how jungle intervention affects this as well. We know Twisted Fate isolated. Going to play with range nicely, but hang on, a Shattering Strike there. Ignite is going to be cleansed away from. Super and Alvaro hit level 2. They're over the wall, they're in fast, and they get a summoner advantage.
Immediate trades coming down in bot side, but I think they should be okay. Brand should probably want to full clear here. You could see Yone walking down to bot side to get some vision, potentially scout out any kind of invade or attack onto mid lane from Sejuani. But those trades ultimately down bot side shouldn't amount to anything because the Brand is pathing well. Yoya going to value his full clear more. My eyes, though, are on top lane. What is the lane state like by the time that Sejuani finishes a full clear? Can this wave be held and eventually cause a gank onto Mirwin? He is very fragile in this lane.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I think the wave will just crash on this, and there's not much you can do. So Mirwin will be able to at least get vision down. Yoya goes to the invade.
Getting in deep. I mean, he's level 3 here, closer at half HP. Going to try for a smite steal. Camera goes away for the time being. That's because we're getting in engaged. There's a flash remount, not to Upset, who now has to burn his own flash. Another big win. Super and Alvaro stepping up to the plate. What we knew of them in winter, now becoming a reality in this game too.
It's flash for flash though. Zupa end up burning his, doesn't get the kill.
True.
And you also get the flash out of Alvaro. So in the grand scheme of things, you actually end up just evening out what had already been a summoner level trade advantage for MDK.
I definitely do. And this is the thing with drafting Kai'Sa Rakan. It's a very weak duo early on. You have fantastic team fighting, fantastic dive as the game goes on, but this Rel and the Zeri should take over early game. That's exactly what we're seeing. Minor CS lead as the recall comes through for Zeri.
I'm just curious as to what happened, but you can see that Kai'Sa Rakan trying to push it out as Frescowi gets a damage mid.
I think we do have to look at like Elyoya though, because this was our big talking point coming into this series was Elyoya on AP junglers. And immediately we see that difference in Elyoya goes to the invade, Mirwin working to push Closer off to just try and affect what Closer's able to do on the map. And this is where Elyoya's been able to pop the hell off. And with Alvaro now spotting out Closer again, it feels like it's going to be trying to contest as these second rotation of the spawns come through and see if they can steal away more of these camps off of the pressure bot lane has.
I mean, Alvaro's starting to move already. Maybe part of the play from what we saw before that gives him freedom. As Targamas doing the same just to match and push him out. Also, Scuttlecrab is there, so movement speed bonus if Targamas decides to chase this, but Upset sitting on a ward for the time being. Alvaro might have to crash down outside the Dragon Pit. Or we're also looking at Frescowi getting a good trade against Vladdy in this matchup that he chose here on the Yone.
A lot of tension down bot side right now with that wave crash that Zeri wants to pull off here. Super trying to crash the wave. You could see they even called Elyoya to shadow just in case a play happened. Now, they can free hit this tower and get some plates, and that means Sejuani is going to be on the map sooner up top side. Once again, looking at that level 6 timer, 5 minutes 30. That's level 6 in top lane. So if Mirwin can avoid that timer, avoid that gank, he's going to be really unlocked because that's really potent there in terms of setup, especially around that group fight.
That's, I think, where the main focus is going to be for MDK. You can see the reset coming through from Mirwin. Frescowi should hit 6 and is doing a decent job of keeping Vladdy in check. Vladdy has just burned through the pop and the biscuit that he was holding in his inventory. So just going to stick for this wave and I imagine reset because he also wants to try and hit that level 6 and get that first nice recall and purchase before these boy groups fights.
Take a look here. Slow pushing out. So if Mirwin dies here, he has no TP to get back to lane. He does have his ultimate, but this is a window here. Kana has ulti.
I mean, Closer drops a ward first, and the Hextech ultimatum gets dropped on down. Remember, Mirwin doesn't have it for the chase, so Kana's just on out. The Seer out of connecting here with an Arctic Assault from Closer. That's an ulti out from Kana, and Mirwin now has the push.
And nicely done by Elyoya to read it, but now in mid.
Targamas angle, it sets it up. The Fate Seal not interrupted. Vladdy's hit on the way out, but Frescowi is looking for double Q. A nice roam from Targa there. He gets Frescowi out with his ulti as well.
Ult for ult trade happens in the mid lane, but this is exactly what we talked about. In the top side, there is a massive window where TF can die in this matchup, and they managed to mitigate it. I love what you said, Dagda, because that excellent read from Elyoya was exactly that. They knew that Camille would get level 6 on that timer, and he made sure to be there on that slow push.
Yeah, and now you don't have that ult available, so Elyoya able to take the Void Grubs on top. Targum is still sticking around mid as Frescowi should be able to collect this wave with Alvaro being in tow, but again, this is kind of where MDK thrive, is Elyoya, when he's able to get into the head of the enemy jungler, play to mitigate, and then expand leads when they find it. He's in a great spot, and Elyoya, now with 6, feels like he can really start to threaten some of these lanes.
He is an in-your-head kind of jungler, isn't he? That's a nice thing to say, Doug. I feel like Elyoya kind of runs with it and just continues staying in the enemy's head, right? 13 CS lead in the jungle.
Yeah, my read of Elyoya, like you're talking about, is that he's really, really good at covering his lanes. He's fantastic, especially at playing around topside. Whenever I see them draft a kind of duo like TF Talia, for example, or something like this, they always play really well around top, and now this game they've done exactly that with the mitigation as the engage comes through bot.
Targamas tries to stop the back, I think, at least going in. Super just pops the ulti. His flash not available, so Targa gets on out. But it was with a hair's breadth. His flash heal. Now also down again.
But now you can see where Brand is on the map. MDK could look for a potential dive if Upset's left alone. So Closer would need to try and cover Casey in this bottom side, especially with push even for Frescowi in the mid lane. And even if you don't really go for the dive on bot, you can even look for a dragon off this as well. So 3 grubs and a potential dragon could be on the cards for MDK.
MDK, again, it's the early game that's looking good, right? First 8 minutes, gold lead in every lane. We talked about it last game. They held their aggression, or rather should I say, they held their lane state quite well until there were those mistakes. So again, we're seeing a bit of repetition here. We're seeing the lanes push their advantages here and build a bit of a bridge of gold.
We're about to see Elyoya. Oh, hang on.
Well, Super takes the ulti onto Super, rather upset, right on top of this Zeri, but not enough damage yet, and especially with Frescowi walking down, Upset will not overextend.
But look again, it's Elyoya trying to cover for these topside plays right as the cooldown on Kana's ultimate comes up. And Targamas has started to move up to try and set up for that, but Elyoya forgoes like Dragon or trying to play for his own leads off of pushing Targamas out, instead keeping Mirwin in check.
Absolutely. Look at the top side wave state. They're trying to crush a wave in top, and they're having everyone shadow it just in case the gank potential is there. Because if they manage to pull through this early game, even, they are ahead because their jungler's farming faster. They've accrued CS leads in every single lane naturally. So it's a genuinely good winning lane state, or game state rather.
And again, we talked about unlocking Mirwin a little bit there as well as the roams come up and MDK is setting up.
Yeah, MDK want to try and go for the dive, but now spot Closer, so decide to try and pull away. So they were, it was going to be a little bit dangerous if they tried to go for it. I would have been happy with just letting that push in, but they're able to try and back away, and now they're all right.
Yeah, I agree. That was a bit spooky versus Camille, maybe dodging out some spells. But now, going into mid lane, it's just them. Alvaro and Elyoya is a tails all the time. Like, I feel like they do this every single game, run around with a strong duo, facilitating each other, and also facilitating the lanes.
I also love when you do get Elyoya on these AP junglers, because like Alvaro is always going to play some sort of tank engage, right? So it's just that. Yeah, he will. Nice. But it's just that you end up in a position where you've actually got a ton of damage coming from Elyoya. Oftentimes you have extra CC on a lot of these AP junglers like the Talia or the Brand, and then you're able to pair off of Mirwin is generating a carry. Like, you have so much burst potential between Elyoya and Friend alongside Alvaro that it makes it really difficult to try and play into that 3v3, and it's something that we saw missing in the last game, where the Sejuani just wasn't really cutting it when it came to fighting in that 3v3.
As we talked about it, if Elyoya is not in charge in a way of carry potential, right, like on these AP jungles, something feels a little lost, and while there was a good early game, it just wasn't the same thing. It wasn't Elyoya who got to put the big boy pants on in the last game. For MDK now this time around, as Alvaro looks to roam again, still trying to set up for some of these early ganks, but Closer's always there. That's one thing you can say about this jungler, is Elyoya is moving into position and Alvaro is thinking about engage. There's a Shattering Strike, the crush down as well. The Seer locks him down, the Fate Sealed. Will he ever get to move? The answer, no.
Kana was already pathing there through mid as well. He wanted to potentially join the fight, but the engage from MDK is there. They immediately pick off Closer right before the grub fight, and now you can imagine that's there secured.
Enemy's got no tier boots as well, whether they're going to be Merc Treads, gents. I mean, this guy went to a supermarket, bought everything cheap on the aisle, now has a convergence as he goes back. So Closer gets shredded, Elyoya starts the grubs.
And now you're going to be able to continue that pressure on the top side as well, because it's difficult for Kana to try and defend, but Targamas and Vladi still here. Frescowi going to make sure that he starts to lean in towards this river just to bully KC away.
6 grubs?
Yeah. and that's going to be great for Mirren.
And it feels like a masterclass from Elyoya in terms of the jungle right now. All 6 grubs, no dragons lost, and you've mitigated all the gank windows topside as gank comes up
Damage
closer.
there, Hextech ultimatum, but look at who's here.
Oh,
MDK here to bail him out. Mirwin buys time, flashes down towards his team. Now he's dead, but what can they get in return? Elyoya, the carry, has to flash away, and Kana is sitting on his head. Alvaro, no engage, and MDK are doing it again, getting caught on out as Mirwin dropped first. Then it was their jungler, Alvaro next. The kills over to Kana, and KC are being gift-wrapped delight.
And just as I say that MDK are dominating this early game, mitigating all the potential plays, they managed to find the gank. Finally, after trying 3 times, I believe by now, they use the setup onto the TF. You can't get away from this. Tries to flash down, but the flash Q2 comes out from Kana. The stun as well from Sejuani.
Also, the fact that Closer got stunned, but still managed to hit both aspects of the W on towards Elyoya meant that he got 2 stacks. Then Kana was able to get the 3 and 4. So the flash forward from Closer to get the stun meant they were able to pick up more. So really, like, knife's edge stuff that play worked out so well as it did for KC.
They're overjoyed again with a run on the line. I mean, Closer this series having a really good time as well. If it doesn't work the first time, try again. If it doesn't work the second time, I guess try it third time as well. The triple down and now a 2-kill Camille. Sits up in the top lane. Gold lead, pretty much even between the solo laners, and for a TF, that ain't good due to the fact that his passive is really everything.
Super. Taking a little bit of hurt, but KC going to start up Dragon. Or sorry, MDK going to start up Dragon. KC going to try and use that push they have to shove them off, and once more they will be able to. So this is where it kind of gets a little bit difficult for MDK, because one of the big points was, hey, if you're in a lead, it's great because you can try and take fights on your fancy, but when you look at where MDK are at now, it's more difficult when Targamas can engage and the follow-up's there.
And it's here again onto Alvaro. Caught on out, his Magnet Storm's in, but Vladdy picks up the kill. I mean, after Dragon, it just keeps topping up, and KC are finding more windows into this game again.
It feels eerily reminiscent of last game as well. The mid game coming in again for MDK, getting picked. It looked like last game they had a lead as well. 3K gold lead at this sort of timer, but it's just falling apart. After that Dragon take, Alvaro gets picked again. Topside play as well. It's not looking great.
It's really not. Elyoya going to try and move back up towards the top side. His tail tucked between his legs. Will get spotted on a nice pink ward as he tries to make his way in towards River. So Kana will know that he needs to back away from this one, and will not get caught out by Mirror.
Yeah, Wave Crash. Wave stays a little bit awkward for Kana. Rift Herald spawning soon, but he can't get the crash down. Mirwin can hold this wave if he wants to. If he wants to try and facilitate a gank, doesn't look like he's going to opt to do that. His thought process is, I'm just going to push and move. I'm going to go for this Rift Herald.
Other thing is Mirwin as well. We haven't seen the ult used yet. I know it's not all of the play. I know it's not the most important, but it is something we've got to keep in the back of our mind.
Yep.
Is how Mirwin moves across the map and helps facilitate some of these picks, because man, right now, again, this Camille is going to start being scary. At least MDK trying to trade off in the mid lane, getting some push down while Elyoya starts Herald.
Yeah, I think right now, in terms of TF versus Camille, you just stay top lane. You don't even need to make an ulti. You've got Kraken Slayer completed, Tabais. You are not killable by this Camille, and you can bully her under tower. So generate your own lead is the idea here for Mirwin. He's relaxed. He's not going to make a play down to bot side with his ulti and sacrifice his lead.
Good to know. Good to point out. There's good trade there onto Vladdy from Fresco in the bottom side while Alvaro tries to cover the potential dive.
Well, I'm a bit nervous about KC investing this many members on bot, because Rift Herald was just taken, and you could immediately like move Mirwin down off of this push into a potential mid-tower take, or just try and look for a dive on towards Khan as he gets in towards top. But 2 members of MDK here, this is risky.
Ooh, TP's there. It's going to be a 4 versus 2. The ult locks down Frescowi. The wall is out again, and Vladdy already picks up one. Alvaro can't even move himself. No ulti for him. Casey execute a clean dive, and Alvaro is getting bullied in this game too.
I'm sorry, Casey. I wasn't aware of your game. I didn't realize that your dive was going to be that clean. They still will lose 2 towers, though. So in the grand scheme of things, I'd say a win for MDK.
Yeah, teleport committed for Kana as well. We saw this last game on the Renekton TPing down bot side, maybe when it wasn't the best idea because of the cross map, but MDK come out on top because of the heads-up play with Mirwin hitting that tower with the 6 scrubs.
So again, as you said, win for MDK. Bag of kills, 2 in fact for KC. Gold still in MDK's favor, but only just. We're going to look at a match of the week replay.
Yeah, and you can see here, the setup from Closer just catches Vladdy as he tries to escape away, and then there's the lock-up continual CC makes impossible. Alvaro is just trying to waddle his way away, but in the picture-in-picture, you can see the fight's about to kick off.
Live is the chase down of KC, isn't it? In their own jungle, I mean, they're still looking to press forward. Elyoya sending out the ulti. It's going to bounce a couple of times, but it only sends KC away. Maybe to open up bottom turret, it's a long con.
Yeah, it just forces them away enough. The Mirren should be able to get that. Prescowi just going to continue to push them back. Vladdy is pushing on this top side to try and trade, but again, those 6 Void Grubs going to make a massive difference in how quickly MDK can deal with these structures.
Absolutely. The tower damage is going to be there. Zin not going to go for that turret, maybe scared of potential TP from behind or something along these lines with the Twisted Fate, but he sees them, so opting to rather let the tower live and kill the minions.
So it feels like this game, MDK playing the map, you know, a little bit more wisely as well. You know, there's been that dive down bot side, but again, they're like, well, you know, you guys can die. It's not going to be the end of the world. Again, you said MDK were trading up top turret, mid turret. They open up bot turret as well. A wide map for a Twisted Fate top does feel very, very valuable when he does have so many grubs.
I absolutely agree. I mean, it's both teams, actually. Both teams have such huge global map presence. You can play off of the Camille setup in side lane with Kai'Sa ulting in, and that's an avenue of attack for KC. But then you also have potential TF shadowing the Yone, and you can play for side with Frescowi pushing and into tier 2. So both an option for both teams, and I imagine the side lanes are going to be a bit volatile.
Well, it's another good point, which the Mortal Blade actually affects turrets as well, the extra magic damage that comes through. And so Yone makes him another good split pusher as MDK look at enemy jungle. Alvaro flash, shattering strikers. I can speak properly if Vladdy could move, but once again, the CC chains in this game mean that everyone just stands still.
Again, it's the Alvaro Elyoya hype train where they're just working so well together, catching members out, and you just don't have that same link up between Targos and Closer, try and get the vision, and now
Targamus. They catch it.
Oh, the rats. The engage is there. Double engage down. Targa is burning down as well and eventually drops. That was sneaky from MDK. You don't expect the double whammy.
Moving in. Maybe he felt like he had safety because he had the sweeper activated, but heads up. Great play between the towers from MDK, and that's going to convert into another tier 2. I want to look up topside on that tier 2 as well. Are they going to secure that too? Not quite.
That'd be huge. I mean, at least getting damage down as well. Maybe makes it a hair's breadth or at least half a hair's breadth as it'll get down to half HP. Kana there to respond as he backed away from bot. Destiny was used by Mirwin to get bot side as Dragon now spawns.
And the thing is, because KC don't really have a ton of Dragon stacked up, or, you know, you really have to worry about a Baron on the cards or anything, it's very difficult for KC to force MDK into a fight.
Right.
At the moment, MDK can continue to play this style of, hey, we're going to shove a side lane and overload somewhere and make it difficult for KC to play because they don't have to contest this Dragon, right? They can even just go back in towards mid, push that in a little bit, and then immediately capitalize on all the value of vision that they still have in that top side as you see the Yone going to push in that top wave.
Second Dragon going to go over to KC. I really need to see them play with Kana in the side lane. You've invested so many resources into getting Kana ahead. Now you really need to flex this ability to find picks in the side lane, convert that into towers, because right now, look at him. He can't even extend on his own lane for fear of being ganked. So I want Closer and Kana to work together as a duo. Throw Upset in there as well with that ultimate.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going to have to play mitigation on this tower.
Especially since they have Vladdy pushing on the side. It feels like Vladdy would be far more vulnerable here.
Well, Kana, good buff with that E against the wall, gets him out. Now he turns with the Hextech ultimate and the charge on Alvaro is great. The dive in even better. Super now joins on in as a gold card follows through, but onto the back end, Kana is burning down. He's ticking, but the pot healing him up. Not enough in the end from the Blaze. Teleport also committed there. KC had to respond.
Great pick from KC. Kana getting that damage, but also the Targamas being able to dash through several members, so Kana's just able to escape. Yep. The push on bot wave, they lost a fairly sizable wave on the bot side as MDK, so KC will hold on for another day.
Yeah, I want to call out Kana's E there. It was a nice cancel onto the Rel leap. Great timing on that stun. Kana trying to find plays, and this is what happens when you play towards the Camille. She's so strong right now, especially once she completes that Hydra, but that potion coming clutch. I think you called it out on the healing. Versus that burner damage over time.
I mean, also, on top of that, let's just add on. You talked about wanting to see Closer play more towards his Camille as well. Another note we didn't mention is Targamas syncing up with that. Remember, Rakan's melee now, right? So, triple melee here on this comp. There's a lot of big potential if they can find their way in, but in that particular play, MDK setting up for that weak tier 2 top. As Baron is spawned now as well. Another top play, another thing that goes well up in this side of the map. Could lead to a Baron that is still, remember, quick with an on-hit TF and a Yone. it's always an opportunity MDK can push towards.
A lot of vision just cleared out by Mirren on this bottom side. So both Closer and Kana know that TF is on this bottom side. You can see them kind of half syncing up, maybe looking for a pick. So Targamas should be able to just dash away here. But everyone in MDK moving in towards this top side. They want the tier 2 before KC can establish themselves in the map.
Yeah, you can see what Mirren's plan is there. He's looking for picks. He's playing from bot into mid. Look at the TP.
Ooh. Okay, this is a breaker in. Upset finds the pick, and Elyoya is dead. Wow. What setup from KC's to jump down onto Super's belt, but he can't get out. He tried to heal with the wall, but Kana said no. KC again. They're loving the dives this series.
They find the play. It was MDK looking for a play with TF shifting up towards mid, but KC find the initial pick. They turn around. Kana comes TPing in and locks down Zeri, who tries to escape over the wall. And it just isn't enough because he can't get away.
It's the imports this series that are doing work as well. We highlight Upset, but man, Kana and Closer coming up clutch as well. The Baron off the back of it. KC needed a miracle, and they found one.
Beautiful positioning there on the ward and the engage from Closer, picking off Elyoya. And MDK are completely spread out. Frescowi trying to find, should I go in, should I go out? But the fight is done before he even gets to the side. And even with that, Mirren had to ult immediately out because he just could not get in anywhere safe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Mirren, the way they want to play is off of these gold cards with rapid fire. He was so accelerating. You could see him walking towards topside to potentially find a gold card and chain CC off of that. But the problem is they get engaged on first before Mooin can find anything. And the end KC now, it's another Citra with Nash. Can they break this mid tier 1?
And I mean, just as we're talking about Mad, you know, looking for opportunities and finding windows in this game, maybe shoring up some of their mistakes from game 1. Happens again, a great engage from KC, sets up, knocks him down, and once again, Upset. He's strong. Once again, Vladdy, also strong. I mean, it's just rinse and repeat, isn't it?
I mean, and Kana is just out of this world, man. The fact that he's already completed second item, once the Sterex comes through, he's already insanely strong. It just becomes unbeatable. Like you are so good when you get to those 3 items, and now as KC start to put the pressure down, getting vision on this top side, eyeing up for that bar or the potential take on towards the top tower, and with Dragon in a minute's time, it feels like that's where KC can start to pick up another Mountain Dragon, potential for a Mountain Soul for themselves as well.
Yeah, no TP available for Kana though, so now he makes a decision. Does he stay top and keep pushing, threatening maybe a dive, or does he shift down into mid to potentially contest this Dragon? You could see MDK trying to punish the TP-less Kana by threatening engage with that rapid fire cannon.
But I mean, none's going to come through, and that means Kana, if he stays here comfortably, he's just going to find a tier 2 by himself. Sure, we'll look in a second, but that tier 2 just drops. Wave to push in as well, and KC for now with the Baron, I mean, that's a good gold play.
Yeah, KC playing really well, not getting engaged on whilst their top laner split pushes. Now, MDK do have a bit of control up in this bot side river around this next Dragon spawn. It's on KC, Closer needs to face check, and same with Targamas on this Rakan with the Celestial opposition. There he goes. Can he sweep the vision, or is he going to get one shot? Look at this rapid fire.
Going for the gold card, hits Targamas, but he gets to safety. Again, KC finding another avenue, and while that's going on, they just hit mid down. Upset tanks it up, and 3 turrets from this Baron is big as wait for the time being. Kana looks for a flanking angle. He's hit out with the Hextech automated buff. The Super gets the ulti. There's the Magnet Storm. Outrow buys some time, but Super is in the middle of it all. About to drop the Closer. Easy as that, as Targa and Upset have found Elyoya split up. And that's exactly what it is. As Mad find Vladdy in the back end of the fight. Closer disengages. Upset, Targamas are out of there. There's the gold card you were waiting for, but Closer has to flash out in the end. Mad will get the Dragon start here. Luckily so, it's a 1-for-1 for them.
Kana gets collapsed on, so he kind of has to blow everything early alongside Closer trying to get in position to save him. So it ends up being Vladdy dying for Supa, but MDK come out with the bigger health bar, so they get the Dragon. MDK going to be relatively happy because that could have gone way worse for them with the setup that they had.
Yeah, finding that pick. You can see Kana face checking. They really needed Closer or Targamas to face check here because of how slippery they can be and tanky. But Kana has to use everything defensively. He gets out, almost dying to the burn, but then the fight, it just spreads to the entire quadrant of the bot side. And I don't even know where to look at this point, but Elyoya, I think he falls in the end. And Vladdy falls as well.
Yeah, I think Vladdy tried to go in to help out Closer, but at that stage, I think it's just wash your hands of it, try and get out, and every man for himself. But now KC trying to take a page out of MDK's book from the last few games and looking for a death brush, but it's going to leave Kana with time to get on towards that top side. Vladdy does need to be careful.
He's on vision. They know he's there. Again, Alvaro always fishing for these engages. He's been risky this game, but some of them have really paid off as Vladdy just kites it back, and MDK stop their 3 men down the bottom side of the map. Well, it looks like for now, Mirwin is just doing cleanup duty on these side waves.
Yeah, I mean, Mirwin here, he has so much pick potential. The chain CC can come out with the TF into the rel as well, so you're gonna have to play side lane a little bit scared here if you're Kana. But I really want to see them play with side lane here with the Camille continuously until this next Dragon spawn again, because once again, it is going to be Mountain Soul. And with Nash spawning in 1.5 minutes, I'd rather see Kana down bot side.
And they have a decent amount of vision on that top end to kind of help that push for Kana on top side. But even if Kana can't really threaten on towards like the top side inhibitor turret, you're just getting a ton of gold in towards Vladdy, who will then get up towards the third item, will be the Zhonya's Hourglass. So it's kind of just like win-win for KC. Like no matter where you put that pressure, it just ends up being a win for these late game carries on either side.
Red buff gonna be denied. Global red buff absolutely massive in a game with so many marksmen. So nice denial there from MDK. Tier 2 turret is the goal.
And again, MDK back to where they started, aren't they? This Tier 2's been the goal for a long time. Mirwin doesn't have that much damage. He gets the extended range, but closer finds him out. The pick off, MDK stepping too far forward, you'd think, but Mirwin gets on out spaces. But in the meantime, Upset loves to fly. This guy has grown some wings in this series, while Frescowi comes in late, but finds Kana. That's one, but he still dies in the end. Mad, it's over tunneling sometimes. That's really kicking them in the ass.
It's the coordination from KC that is just outperforming MDK. Every time they go for an engage, Closer goes for it. Target's immediately there, but Targamas, he's get immediately out.
But a blue card, he's fine, absolutely. Presses W. Maybe KC want a bit more of this. Super's isolated, but getting over a wall seems easy here as MDK are pulling back because, you know, Baron was there. They wanted to make sure they had vision.
They need to try and hold on desperately. The MDK, they will be in season finals, but to try and bow out against KC like this, especially when you look at the legacy between these two teams, they would desperately want to try and get a win over KC, but just the French are just not giving them any way into it.
Destiny going to be used on the back of the pit. This Baron's going down fast to see it. Damage means a lot as Alvaro wants to get the engage into the pit. Smite is enough. Closer gets it and secures his body. Flies and glides with his Emperor's Divide. Alvaro is back on the bad line as Mirwin runs to the front. And KC, they are playing their comp well again with a TP to mid to try and break that base.
A series of errors from that top fight into a Baron start, and now a turn coming in from Vladdy, the player we have all hyped up recently in recent weeks. He's been playing so damn well, and now I think they can look for the end here. Is that 30 seconds left on Aljoya? I think they have time.
Up in 10 seconds. Dagda, what do you reckon?
It's looking like Sadline's Koi are going to be taken to the main stage here. KC, they want to end this here.
Keeping their dreams alive. It's a miracle run needed as Mirwin gets uppercut by Kana, who's had a field day of this game. KC came to play, and when they need top 3 to get into season finals, KC will not take Mad's crap any longer today. The miracle run here in the LEC Summer Playoffs begins now.
And if I'm SK, I am shaky. This was a hard-fought game 2, but a well-orchestrated game 2 from KC. And that game 1 was a complete blowout. This is a different Karmine Corp from what we saw in the regular split.
Even when behind, they look so intimidating. Finding these picks, finding these team fights, the way they execute them, playing off of the Kai'Sa ultimate with the setup from the Camille, super impressive. The coordination really is there.
Not only innovative comps, but yeah, comps that do need coordination, I think was nice to see today. But of course, you can vote for your Kia player of the game at X. Is it Closer, Upset, or Targamas?
I think it's Closer, the way he facilitated the lanes, especially accelerating the Camille in that game.
And I mean, if we're talking about player of the series to correct as well, like, Closer had a really good series.
Yeah.
Closer had a really, really good series. And of course, for the Mad Lions fans, just a side note, they will still be in season finals. KC, however, disrupt the flow where, because of this win, SK are not locked. Earlier on, as we saw Ginex with a win, they're not locked either. They need KC to fail, and KC said no to failing today.
I mean, they do not look like they're anywhere close to failing. That was an incredible game. I am very excited now to watch this KC because it feels like suddenly we have what I think a lot of people expected Karmine Corp to be when they came into the LEC, which was just this absolute monster of a team that you have to deal with.
They look really good. They look really, really
insane.
good. They can play loads of different styles of compositions. They can play to top, they can play to mid, difficult champions, easy champions. We've seen their style now, and I look forward to seeing how they play in the future.
I mean, again, if we can see, you know, innovative drafts like this again, I mean, Kana on Flex Champions, like, again, he played so much during the regular season. And I think as well, you know, not only do we have Upset playing a lot more aggressively, which was nice, and playing off the back of it, we saw Vladdy playing really aggressively, and I guess also off the back of it this entire series, where he's also a really good linchpin for KC.
I think it's just the fact that, like, as Aragon was saying, it feels like anyone can carry. Vladdy can look absolutely great.
Yeah.
Upset on the Kai'Sa was stellar in game 1, but more muted because he can let Kana take over in game 2. It feels like there's no one that you can just kind of go, oh yeah, that's the problem. It's everyone in KC is a problem for you.
And I want to highlight a player that maybe got a lot of flack in the past, but played really well recently. I remember loads of engages that split in this series as well. Targamas, I think, has been sleeper. We haven't mentioned him that much on the cast, but I think he's played really well as well.
You're saying that because he's in the Marriott Bomboy post-game check-in with Law on stage. So Aragon getting brownie points as we say good night, and good luck to KC.
Thank you so much, guys. I mean, you're right. Let's ask him, actually. First off, Targamas, congratulations. Thank you for joining me on stage. The guys on the cast were telling that you played really well today. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I played pretty good, right? So I think the whole team, like, we didn't do that many mistakes. Like, I think we gave a lot of space to enemy teams sometimes because we know they like to play really aggressive with their jungle supports, but like, we did, like game 1 we didn't die, game 2 there was a little moment where we died a bit, but then we started being like, okay guys, they're actually inting, just kill them, and then yeah, everything went well.
Inting.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some strong words, because actually coming into this matchup, I didn't think we've seen enough from KC to put you as really, really high favorites. And I feel like when you play against MDK, you never know what kind of champions they're going to throw at you. Maybe a bit unsure about the game plan. What was your approach and understanding of Mad Lions Koi today?
I mean, of course, we respect them. I think they are playing pretty good laning phase, like especially their bots. Like, they are not afraid to just press their buttons and try to make things happen, right? But I think the mid game, they struggle a lot, and they always play the same. Like, their jungle support is just going really far while their carries are not with them. So, I mean, we watch their games and we know what they're doing, right? Yeah. So in the games, maybe it took us a bit of time to realize, because we're like on stage and we are not punishing instantly. But then after they do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, at some point we just kill them.
Yeah, you get the message. You know what the game is going to be about. But for you guys, honestly, it looks like everything is looking pretty good. The team keeps on improving. All the players keep on improving, and the synergy keeps on getting better. What's the state of KC right now? How do you feel with the rest of the team as you're ramping up in playoffs, especially knowing that one mistake, you're out and the year is over, sadly?
I mean, I feel pretty good. Like, I think since the beginning of the split, we've been playing like decently on stage, I would say, and like in scrims, we've been actually playing good, like challenging the top teams, right? Like, that's where I would kind of put us. But first round, of course, we play against G2, so it sucks a bit, right? It's hard to win against them, and also I think they had like really nice plan in draft. But I'm pretty confident we can win against everyone else if we just play our game.
And talking a bit more about you, that's a topic we didn't have the opportunity to touch up on last time I interviewed you, but I know that it's been a difficult year for you. I know that you got your share of criticism, and I know that the community had some thoughts, basically, about you in general. I was wondering how much it affected you or actually helped you push further.
I mean, as I said in my last post, like, I don't think it affects me much because I have like the team around me like supporting me a lot, and like everyone is happy with the job I'm doing, so I don't care like what people behind their PC at home thinks, right? Yeah. It doesn't really matter. But obviously, I think like the toxicity has been like pretty high lately, and it's fair when, especially towards KC, when we've been like performing really bad. But I can't wait to shut some mouths, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of all this, and the next mouth that you're gonna shut. I love this. The next mouth that you're hopefully gonna shut, and maybe teams that you're gonna eliminate, is gonna be SK. Any words on this upcoming matchup? Niski on the other side of the rift?
I mean, I don't really mind. I think SK, it's like, they had a pretty good like regular season, like always. But I'm not really scared against them. Like, I think, for me, the way I see it is like when you run in the loser brackets, like the hardest game is often like the first game because you have to like get the momentum, right now. I think we played pretty good today. Everyone is feeling confident. I feel like in 2 days we're probably just gonna win again.
All right, I hope you can carry this momentum into the next match. We have Vladi and your jungler closer in PGL. Anything you want to tell them, or maybe your take on how they played today? You can look at this camera.
I mean, yeah, I think Vladi, he almost ran it down one time in the game when he gets hot on top when we say everything in comes, but it's fine, you know, like he still needs to learn a bit, so.
All right, it's not about running it down, it's about shutting down the Nexus in the end. Targamas, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for the interview. And that's all for us here on this side of the stage. Shocks, over to you.
Ult on mid and the wasted everything on me, so then we won.
Thank you. He's already explaining it, actually.
Yeah.
Welcome to the post-game lobby, where I'm joined by Odoamne, by Closer, and by Vladi. You're getting called out by your support.
Yeah.
Why did you int?
I didn't int.
You got
I
called
just got
in the
caught
jungle.
on. It's like, I'm a rookie, I can do it.
This guy.
How long are you going to say that?
Maybe this is your last split.
Yeah, this is your
you
last
can
split.
say it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, talk to me about facing MDK. I heard you guys talking, and I heard there was some disagreement in the team about, you know, how strong they were going to be as an opponent. Can you explain a little bit?
Since they reached the finals in the first splits, and I mean, I know they looked like weak lately, but we kind of thought that they were going to be very dangerous. They also look good against BDS. So we took this game very seriously. But I think, to be honest, in the regular split, we didn't show that we are that strong. So we were confident in ourselves because we were playing well in scrims, but we didn't really know how it's going to look like. But I mean, I think we played pretty good today. So I'm happy.
I agree. Oh, so you think like, oh, maybe they could have the potential, right? Because you're not sure, but in the end, they also have a tendency of not being able to close out games, and it kind of happened again in this series. Vladi, were you aware of the fact that they tend to make some mistakes in the mid game here and there, and were you aware of that as a game plan from your side, that you would look out for that?
I mean, no, obviously they will do mistakes, everyone does, but I think they got caught so many times, like I didn't expect them to just walk straight in our jungle every single time, and while we have Seju, Rakan and all this kind of stuff, like, oh, the first game!
Yeah.
Okay, the first game, yeah. I mean, the first game was tricky because we gave up a lot of turrets in the early game.
I mean,
we ended up being 3K
they used
behind.
Nico though.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was only, the gold was only on Nico.
Yeah.
So eventually, I think in the mid game or comp is just really good in team fights, and we just won.
I did think you guys leveled up a little bit, because I feel like if you would have had this sort of game, especially the first game where individually there's like members falling behind and there's someone super fed on enemy team, you guys would falter. But right now, you guys are a lot more coordinated and a lot more together when it comes to pulling the trigger than in regular season so far. So what are kind of the... Do you guys also feel this when you play the game? Do you guys get this sort of confidence where you feel like everyone's on the same page? Because before, this was usually our main critical point of K-Corp.
I think we are pretty good. Like, I think we are still not, like, of course, like, we are still not showing it. Like, our early game, especially game one, we were behind a lot of gold, but then I was really happy how we played mid to late game. Like, we pulled the triggers, we caught some people with Violets. Like, I think we are good at team fighting too, but I don't know what's going on in the early game, but I think if we improve our early game too, we will be dangerous. Yeah. I still think we didn't show our like true power, but we are getting better at playing on stage.
Yeah, you're scaling up a lot. We were watching the game. It was Odo and Perks on the desk, and when you're playing Tristana, they were talking about, oh, like he's buffering.
Don't say this.
Yeah,
This guy has so much ego now.
But he's a rookie. He needs to hear this.
Yeah.
He already has so much ego.
How much are they bullying you because you're a rookie and you get caught or make mistakes?
So much. Like, the closer is just pulling my chair as well when I play solo queue.
Why would you do that, man?
This guy has so much ego. He's acting humble right now, but he needs to stay humble.
As if you turn off that camera, then he's gonna get an ego instantly, or what?
Definitely.
You need to stop being a victim, bro. Come on, you can't do this.
Okay, then maybe tell him something that he needs to do better. Because he says, you know, you're scaling up, you are better than what you've shown today. So what should your jungler do better?
You should gank him more. That's why he's scaling up.
Yeah.
Against Caps, I didn't let Caps play.
Oh, that's true.
So many times.
He didn't do anything, by the way.
Why did you kill that game?
I solo killed him twice, I think.
Did you blow his flashes or what before the solo kill? Because yeah, you know.
No, I didn't solo kill him, actually.
Alternate universe, but it's okay. That's how it goes. Rookie, you know, if someone shanked, he's actually, you know, dead.
You have to like, manifest it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it works. It works. It took a year for KC, but they're finally here.
Yeah, you guys are here finally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy. I think, as Laura already talked about with Targamas as well, you watch KC and, also the previous iteration of KC when you guys weren't there yet, about how you can see how this should work, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think, it clicked with this iteration so far? And how alive is the dream for the top 3, for the season finals, for the world spot?
I mean, that's definitely our goal. We're going to play SK and probably BDS later. And I don't think we are scared from them. I think when we played them on the regular season, we should have won probably both of those games, and we were so much worse. So we are definitely not scared from these teams, and the dream is alive for sure.
Okay, Vladi, what do you think about playing Niski on Tuesday?
As I said in my previous PGL as well, I think he's not good.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, he's one of the worst mid laners in the league. Even though he beat me, I was ahead, and he didn't do anything. And it's
Look
fact.
at the ego he has. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think they are not an easy opponent to play. I think their bot lane is clicking well as a duo. They are doing good in most of the games. But I'm confident that we can beat them.
This is so funny because I was like, oh, we should talk to Vladi in PGL. And I was like, yeah, but he hasn't been on PGL that much, so maybe, he doesn't give you any statements or something like that. Then now you're just like, this guy sucks. I should have beaten this guy. Caps is trash.
This guy's a rookie. He says he's getting home, but then 2 minutes later he says, oh, Niski is really bad. I'm better than him. Can you name all the mid laners in the league that you're better than?
No,
okay.
I'm
it's
humble.
just Niski.
I'm humble. It's only Niski.
It's just Niski.
It's personal.
Okay.
It's personal?
Yeah. I have. We just have a fight every time.
Yeah.
Beef.
In solo queue as well.
And so look as well?
Do you win most of the time?
It's 50-50, I would say.
Okay. I see.
I love it. Hey, but Niski is at his best when it's like this, when someone's trash talking him.
Yeah, maybe I should be humble to him now.
I think so.
This is better than us. I think they're a very strong team. I hope we can win.
You guys are very funny. The player of the series is Upset, and we did want him on PGL, but he has some content, so we're stuck with you guys.
He's just too good. He's just better than you guys. That's why he has to do content.
I'm kidding.
But that's
people are
kind
gonna get mad again.
We are the second option.
No.
Yeah,
people are gonna get mad at me again. No. We specifically requested Vladi and Closer.
You guys are special to us.
Thank you.
Yeah,